Well, welcome back to Tethys Aquatics, and the filter in front of me today is an Eheims Professional 2 filter. This is the version with a thermostat in the bottom of it, and I'm going to show you, take it to pieces, just show you how I clean this, put it back together again, and then reinstall it back into my tank. So first of all, let's take the head off. 4 clips, one on each corner. Just simply go round, unpick, and then we'll just lift the head off and I'll pop it in the sink. We can have a closer look. So this is the head off and in the sink, ready for cleaning. Not much to it. You've got your closing valve for taking out your hoses, priming button, just push this in and out when you're ready to prime it. A little fail-safe there that needs to be in to allow you to pull the lever back. On the underside you've just got a normal impeller. So what I'm going to do, as you can see it's quite dirty, just going to rub this with a sponge as we did with the other filter that I showed you a few months ago, and take the thick off, and then we'll have a look at the impeller. Now with the Eheims heads, there's just a simple device here, little lever, you just pull and you're now into the impeller. Now try first of all to see if you can take it out with your fingers. It's going to be greasy. If you can't take it out with your fingers, always have a little pair of pliers on hand. Now remember, it's not dentistry, you're not trying to smash it, just a gentle nip on and lift and it comes out. All you're trying to do is break the magnetic force to get the impeller out. So what we're going to do now, rinse this off, clean this whole out, put it back together again. As I mentioned in the previous video, you can over clean a filter. So this is a case of trying to keep the good bacteria in the filter, otherwise you effectively are taking the filter from straight out of the box if you take all the bacteria out of it. So let's start taking the thing to pieces, working our way steadily down. So this is the top of the filter. It's just a thin plastic sheet, holds everything in place. Running through the hole at this point, plastic extender. This connects the head with the pump and allows the water to pass straight through the filter. This is a bottom up filter, so the course is at the bottom, the fine polishing mats at the top on the way out. So we'll have a look in more detail as we go down. I'm just going to wipe these over, set them to one side, and we'll take the first tray out. So this is the first tray. I've just taken this out of the filter. This is the one with the final polishing mat on the top. It is supposed to be white. As you can see, it's had a lot of hammer over this last 5 or 6 months. Now this is just going to go straight into a bin bag. There's nothing you can do for redeeming this. It's not a problem. I would have thrown it in regardless of how long I'd had it in here. But we'll have a look at the media underneath. I'll just dispose of this, get it out of the way. So that's tray 1. We've taken it out, dunked it through the bucket a couple of times, swilled the fingers through. You can still see on the back here there is a bit of thick still in there, so that's quite, I'm happy with that. Not a problem. We want to keep the bacteria in there. And all we'll do before we put it back in is we will place the white filter under the handle, over the hole, and then that one's going to be ready to go back in. I'm just going to give the outside a wipe with a sponge, and then we'll go on to tray 2, which is identical to this but without the foam, and we'll give that one a clean as well, and then we'll move further down the filter. So this is tray 3, and on the top, if you trust me, it is actually a blue filter. I know on here it looks brown. This is the coarse filter. Just going to take it off, and I'm going to recharge this in water, just clean the thick of this off, and there we have the polishing ceramic noodles underneath. We're going to give these a good clean. So there we are, that's the blue sponge. I've just rinsed it out through a bucket of clean water, and I'm going to pop that back in again. You can see there's still little brown specks in there. That's fine, it'll just do a little bit more bacterial action in the filter, so I'm not too fussed about that. The main thing is to get the thick off. So that's ready to go into the filter again. So the final thing, just these ceramic noodles. We'll just give those a rinse through in some fresh water, and then we'll start cleaning the rest of the box. So that's the tray of noodles that have been cleaned. Got all the thick off. There's still a little bit inside some of the bits. I'm not too fussed about that again. More bacteria the better, but there's enough there now. Surface area is clean, a lot of pore space in there now, so we can polish the water as it comes through. So all we need to do is replace the blue filter back into this, and then we can go on and clean the rest of the filter. So just lift the handle, very easy, slide this, if you get it the right way up, back into the tray, covers a lot. That's the first tray, that's the bottom of the filter. So this is the inside of the Eheims Professional 2 filter. This is the thermostatic filter, as you can see at the bottom. So this is heating a small volume of water, keeping it at a constant temperature. There's a digital thermostat on the side which you can adjust with a pinwheel, which I'll show you as we put this thing back together again. This is just to show you you can buy filters with a thermostat in the bottom. This of course then takes one piece of equipment out of the tank, and we'll just give this one a bit of a swill round now and then put the trays back in and top it back up and get it back onto the system. So I've now cleaned the inside of the filter, put the other two baskets back in, just got the third and final basket to put in. The only other tip putting them together of course is to make sure you get all these the right way around. I mean, these filters will go in any orientation, but you need obviously all three of these to go to get the water through the filter so it can come back up through the bottom. It's very, very easy to put one in at that angle. So it's just something to bear in mind. Just make sure they're seated on top of each other. There's a little rubber seal at the top, just stops the water getting out between the tiers and utilises all your media. Now in a previous video I've mentioned a product called Purigen. Slide it underneath. That'll be the last thing the water goes through before it exits the filter and back into the tank. So I'll just pop this in and we'll be ready to go. So the final thing is to top the filter back up. I've just taken a bucket of water out of the tank. You could use water that you've made up, but it's probably sensible just to take the water out that you're going to be using. Top your filter back up, make sure it's flush, and then we'll seat the head. So finally, the head's going back on. Make sure this hole lines up with those holes that we had, or I showed you earlier, the little bits of pipe. That little plastic piece of pipe, I'll just take it out, needs to slot into here. You can either put it in first and then put the head down, or you can leave it in and then position the head. I pretend to do it that way so it's sat in the rubber seal. So we'll just fit this on, jiggle it about a bit, get it squared off, and then seal the filter up. So now that's the head on, everything's been sealed, it's almost ready to go. All I'm going to do is, using a jug of made water, is to top the head up, get rid of the air doing that way, and then when you come to prime the pump, you're not pulling air out of the head straight into your system and airlocking your filter. So I'll just top this up and then we'll take it through. So that's the filter underneath. I've connected the first plug, which is the thermostat. The pump itself is not on at the moment. I just wanted to show you that's the third cable that was coming out of the bottom of the pump, and that just slots in like a normal telephone connection into the thermometer, and it's now reading. Now there's a probe in the back of the tank here, straight out the back, and it's this cable that's actually attached to the head, and that's the cable there. You've now got a pinwheel on the side, you can adjust the temperature. I'm reading about 25.5 at the moment. I've got it about 23.5 on here, so I don't believe the thermostat is on. I think it's purely down to the ambient temperature. It is July after all, it is quite warm. So let's just put the filter together now. Right, well I hope this works. We're actually inside the cupboard now, and if you see an ugly fat head coming in, it's mine. Now what I'm going to try and do is to just slide that in. You can see there's a little red catch here. That's activated as I push this down, but you need to make sure you've got this seated first for obvious reasons, otherwise you're going to end up with water everywhere. I've tried that a time or two. So I'll just struggle on with this, push this down, and then we'll get into the priming stage. Right, well that's the hosing connected. It was fairly straightforward. So what we need to do now is prime the pump with one push. I've checked all the cables are connected correctly. I've not plugged the electricity onto the pump yet. I'll prime it first and then we'll put power on. So one quick press, and that's sucking water out of the tank into the lines, replacing any little bit of air that's left. Now all we need to do is pop the power on and we should have liftoff. And that's the pump turning over straight away. You can probably hear it. A little bit of detritus coming into the tank, which is what you would expect after you've just done a filter change. Just maybe give it a little shake. You should just hear the air going through. Again, do that several times during the course of the next 24 hours. That should get all the little bit of air out that's got in there and stayed there, and then it should be functioning correctly. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative, and do bear in mind the Purigen. If you don't get anything else out of this video, try that.